there was a big recession. And what happened is they bought this company and they made things like gear bags for camping and these things, hunting out in the woods, these things, wilderness. And my father said we could make luggage out of this. And he made some very square bags, some basic bags out of material. And it was out of 100% cotton, heavy. He called it duck, it was canvas. And my mother, she dyed the first samples in our basement laundry room. And out of that, soft-sided luggage was born. So they were quite a good team. And at one point, so my father and mother introduced soft-sided luggage really to the world. And this was about 1962. Now, all of us use it now. We all have backpacks and everything in canvas and a nylon bags. All this was not there then. And the company was called Boyt, B-O-Y-T, Division of Welsh Sporting Goods. And Boyt luggage was around the world and sold. It was very high quality. Really, my father and mother believed in very high quality. And it would last forever. Basically, it was a 100% money back guarantee. If a zipper broke anytime, 30 years from now, they would replace it and mail it back to you free. So I came out of that environment. So I worked there from the time I was 7, to be honest with you, sweeping floors, cutting off the threads on luggage, zipper pulls, things like that, even shipping room. Later in high school, I learned to talk on the phone and sell. And even in college, I sold on commission, and this way I paid some of my expenses. And so this was my background. When I was working in my master's degree, it was a small college in the middle of Kansas, and it was maybe 27,000 students went there. And we didn't have any place really good to eat. And so I opened a little ice cream shop with sandwiches across from the university with homemade ice cream no one else could get. You could only get it in a nearby city that was about 2 hours away. And it was very popular. It was like a homemade dairy. And I opened this, and we were making, and it was a family business also with my husband. My daughter at the time was very little. She was like 3 months old, 6 months old. So I would scoop ice cream with one hand, and she was on my other hip, so she wouldn't get down on the floor in the fans for the ice cream cooler. So I worked 7 days a week when I was working on my master's at the store. And so this is my background. And then later I've owned, so I sold that. Actually, I sold it when I graduated with my master's, and we moved. And then most of my life, I raised my daughter by myself. And so I always know how hard it is to try to work and keep your family and keep everybody happy. It's not easy. So all the women out there that's doing this, and also maybe some men, I'm on your side. I hear you, I understand. And so anyway, I don't know, somebody said something.
Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, so this is my background. Later I owned a part of a hotel on the Oregon coast, yeah. And so I've always had entrepreneurial investments and always been involved with family business from a very young age. And I'm very practical. So yes, I can do research, but I always am helping people start the business. What do we have to do? And so I think the first thing you have to do is really understand the difference between an idea and an opportunity. So if I can use the example when I was working on my master's, and I was pretty young, I started at 28 with my master's. And during that time, you know, there was just a sort of greasy kind of diner in the basement of one of the buildings on the university. It was not a big university, and everybody complained about it. But you know, you went there to take breaks, to get a coffee, get a tea, and get something to eat, but the food was just not so good. And so then I got this idea, we really need something close to campus, and I found an unusual building that looked like a little sort of almost of a nursery rhyme or fairy tale. And I painted it orange, like orange ice cream color or sherbet color with white trim. And someone in the art department made me a sign, Ice Cream Castle. And they painted it. It was very clever looking, and it wasn't very big. It was a very small building. But what we had is the ice cream. So another lesson is to get something no one else can get. So there was a need. So it wasn't just an idea, it was really an opportunity. All of us have really good ideas. All of you out there have good ideas. And the difference is you figure out which is an opportunity and which is really an idea, just a good idea. So not everything's an opportunity, but because there wasn't anything else except this one restaurant, many of the students, they didn't have cars or transportation, they were on foot. And so it was right across the street. And we opened this, and then we also had some other food, light food, you know, sandwiches, you know, we didn't have it was very small, so we didn't have a grill to cook hot food, which was a problem in the wintertime because it would be cold there. So our business was real high in the summer and the spring and the fall, but in the winter when it was very cold, people wanted hotter food, and we tried to do what we could with that, with the shop we had. And then it had to be open 7 days a week because this was an issue, you know, and everybody wanted something. I think we closed actually on the Holy Day, but the other days we had to keep open all the time because if they go and you're not open, they don't come again. So we, you know, and I had to manage this with classes and the baby. But it was a good income when I was in school. I had no bills. So we worked hard, but we managed this. So I think you have to look at the opportunity and really see what's there. What we know about women entrepreneurs, and I've done studies now in about 25 countries around the globe. And some of these countries have been Islamic countries. I've been in Jordan, Morocco, Sudan, we've done studies. And it doesn't matter. The culture, the many of these countries we've worked in have been very tied to the family. And I think, you know, it's not two things, it's one thing. And that we all have to understand we have to make it work, right? And everybody needs to try to help, you know. Sometimes that's easier than other times, you know. Lots of times the mother and the grandmother and grandfather, they get involved helping. So everybody has to help in one way or another with the children. So, you know, I think this is important to understand. But what we know is that most of the time women fund their businesses by themselves. It's with their own personal savings. They usually fund the business. It's true.
Yes.
In all over the world, all 27 countries. We had a question online, how big was the team at the ice cream store?
Yes.
The team was Two, well,
Oh,
three. So it was me, my husband, and the baby. This was all.
no, great.
Because at that time, our family was far away. We had taken some jobs in a nearby city, and then we ended up going back to school. And so the family was the closest family, maybe 10 hours away, 8-10 hours away drive. So it was just us. And so we had to make it work. We did have some friends, a couple friends that would give us a day off, a break sometimes, or a part of a day. They would come in and run the store for a couple hours. We didn't have any money to pay anyone, to tell you the truth. So, you know, we just worked with our friends and they helped us some, you know, or if we got really busy, they would come in and help us sometimes, but it was just us. And we opened, maybe we had to open 10, 11 a.m. and we stayed open till 9 p.m. at night. So it was long hours. We did our homework after class, sitting there, you know, waiting for the customers. So it was very practical. So I think when you work from home, you have to figure out what can you do that there's a need for that will work around the schedules and the other things you have to do. But you have to keep, I think, a part of the day for the business. And it's almost like if right now in the United States, we're all home. So we're all in lockdown. We're all staying home with the virus. And if I let myself, the whole day can be gone easy because I find so many things to do. And so I schedule, I'm very good at scheduling, and you have to be very disciplined, I think, to say, okay, this is my time. And depending on your schedule, when is that you can devote your time to the business? Maybe it's when the kids are taking a nap, or when someone comes home or comes to the house to help you, and then you just have to go to that right away and leave. And whether it's leave the house or leave to another part of the house, I think it's also helpful to have a part of the house that's just for that business that you can sort of retreat to as much as you can. And you have to look at what the demand is to start the business. So is, you know, whether it's a type of cooking or some skills you might have. When we were in Sudan, for instance, there was a women's co-op in Sudan that we worked with, and they were supportive of women and they taught skills to women. But many of these women, there was different businesses, but they did beautiful handiwork with the sewing. Matter of fact, on the slides I sent you, Shahid, there is a picture of one of the artwork from the Sudan.
You want me to share right now, or you want
Yeah,
me to
why
share?
not? Maybe,
Okay.
maybe it's helpful.
Okay, let me just quickly share
I
the.
think it's slide number 50. I put in there, slide 50.
So I think it is. This is your slides. So you can say
Yeah.
you can say to me, and I will keep on moving to the next slide when you like.
Okay, so what we know, and I'm going to go through this very quickly because it's not so practical, to tell you the truth. So I'm very, first of all, I want to say a clap for Shahid and his team. Thank you very much for arranging this. You're wonderful people. I'm amazed at the skill level and what you're trying to do in Pakistan. Is like, you are very creative. You come up with these great ideas. I love the women mother entrepreneur. This is a great idea. I think I want to work with you and do this in the US.
Great.
I love this. But what we know is there's only less than 10% of all the studies done on entrepreneurs or on women entrepreneurs around the globe. Very little. So I decided, okay, we need to know about women. What can we do to help them? Is it different from one country to the next? And what I've found is there's a lot of similarities, no matter the culture, no matter what part of the globe we're in, no matter the religion. Women face a lot of the same obstacles, and what we have to do to make them successful is create opportunities, and much of that's the same. So it doesn't matter what you speak. It doesn't matter where you are. It's very the same. Okay, so let's go. And so the next slides are, here's where I've completed. Actually, these aren't, I had a student help me with this. She did a great job, but the dots don't show all the countries. We now have about 25 studies going on. I would love to do it in Pakistan.
Exactly. So we're looking for it.
Oh, great. We'll arrange this. It would be great. Okay, next slide. So all over the world. And why did we study? We investigated how women around the world are becoming entrepreneurs and succeeding. And, you know, what makes them successful. Next slide, please. So we looked at funding, support system, business skills, and challenges they have. Next slide, please. And we did a survey that we adapted, and we did it through online, in person, and through women's organizations. Next slide. I think this was in Azerbaijan, this lady, when I spoke. Can you read in back what it says in Arabic? I don't know, but I think this is
Say Sudan.
It's in Sudan, not Azerbaijan. Okay. Because I spoke at the United Nations Conference on Women in Azerbaijan back in 2012. So let's move on to strategies. Okay, so one of the main strategies you need to do is planning. So most of the time we're trying to run one step ahead of ourselves. We have the children, we're trying to catch them, we're trying to do all our work, we're trying to manage, trying to make some money for the, what we know about women entrepreneurs is they put their money back into the family. They put their money back into the education of their children. So more than anyone else, they really help everyone with the money they earn. And in the world, women, if they take a loan out, we have almost a perfect payment record. To pay it back, it's like 99%. So we found in the different countries, I just made some slides, that we have to get away from just demand. As soon as, okay, I need 5 sets of clothing made, or I need some bread baked, or whatever it is. You know, in Sudan, they did just demand. Many of these were sweet street vendors that were women. They worked from their home. It was just, you need it, I make it, or whatever, right then. They also looked at seasonal. The more successful an entrepreneur is, they develop an annual budget. You know, they develop an annual budget. So if you look at China, and they also factor in demand. Certain times of the year, you're going to have different demand, right? If you're in Ramadan, it's going to be of different demand than it is if it's not Ramadan. Is my point clear?
Ramadan, you're talking about Ramadan, yeah.
Yes. The demand for your product might be different, will be different. So you have, the more you do an annual budget and not just do, okay, you want it, I make it. You have to sort of plan. So different times of the year, your product might be in higher demand than in other times of the year. If you have the supply then, whether it's clothing, whether it's food, whether it's something else you're making, then the person that's buying it, maybe they don't have time for you to make it, but you're ready, you have supply. So you need to do sort of long range planning. The more we do an annual budget, the more we do some long range planning to examine the market. Where is there more demand, less demand, different times of the year? There might be demand differently in different parts of the country. So, and even things like one color may be more popular than another color of something you're making. The more we figure that out, we try to do a budget to plan how much money am I going to need to make it? How much supply can I hold before I sell it? How long is the waiting period till I sell it? These are the things that make you successful. The higher that you just do demand, it's very hard to keep ahead. Maybe you have to work. Thank you. Very nice to hear you too. They're giving me comments. Oh, okay. My daughter is a makeup artist, I think. Okay. So the more you try to plan out, the better off you're going to be. And how do you figure that out? Well, you get on the internet, you look at seasonal, you look at, try to take all the information that you have. Shahid is a great advisor, and he's a professor, but he's very practical on helping, like I am. So the more you try to do this is very important, the more successful you'll be. So the countries that are less developed, you can see on this chart on planning, they do more seasonal or demand planning. You know, like right now, the more the country is developed, the more they do annual budgets. So you try to do this. This is very important, to try to plan out in the year. And you can also plan this also with your family. So, you know, when are they in school? When are they not in school? It's almost like you have to have a plan for the day, is what I'm saying, as well as a business yearly plan. Even if you do a plan for 3 months or 6 months, it's better than no plan. Okay. In the makeup business, someone asked me a question about that. Okay. So, first you have to identify with the makeup, what, you know, what age bracket are they appealing to? Because I can tell you now, I put makeup on this morning. I said to my husband, okay, I'm on a video. No one really can see if I have makeup on. Then I thought, yes, they can. I'm on a video. So now I am 63 years old, and my skin is different than if I'm younger. I also use less color that is shiny, because the shiny attracts the light. It shows my wrinkles more. So I don't use shiny makeup. So I make makeup that, you know, I use makeup that is for older skin. So she needs to see what is the market she's identifying with. What is the market and the size of the market she's going to go at first? How many competitors are in that market space? So all markets can be segmented into the group, to the market that maybe have the highest probability of your success. And when you're starting out, that's what you want to look at. You don't want to look at a market that is a lot harder to get into, or there's a lot of well-known competitors, okay? So I know from the young people, even some people that are in secondary school here, have started these internet businesses with makeup. And they show on the video how to put it on and these kinds of things. In every culture, there's different makeup that people use that are more common, less common. So for instance, in some cultures, they accentuate the eyes more. Other cultures, they don't do this. And so you have to see what products people are looking for. Also in this space, the color makes a big difference. Demographic planning is, someone came on with that, is very important. That's what we're talking about. Segmenting the market. What is the demographics that you're trying to work for? You know, are you looking for young people, middle age, or older? Those are very different makeup markets, okay? Welcome to everybody, even if you joined late. I'm very pleased to meet you, and I'll try to get to the questions. So let's go back to the PowerPoints very quickly. I will go to the next one. Shahid, if we can.
Diana, it will take me 1 minute to come back on the PowerPoint, so you can carry on because my laptop went off.
All right.
I'll come through my
All
mobile.
right.
Wait 2 minutes. Yeah. You can
Thank you very much. Okay, so I have a couple questions. Thank you very much. Impact of COVID on startups. Oh my, we have to say a lot of prayers. I will say this. It's very, very hard for the small businesses. But I think that you use this as an opportunity because many of your businesses are home-based businesses. Everything now we are trying to do from the home. So some entrepreneurs here, they have gone on the internet and they do classes on the internet and they charge just a tiny bit. This is somewhat difficult, I think, like for exercise class. My gym, where I go work out, try to exercise, she has a monthly membership, but for her members, she is carrying on the classes so that people won't object to paying. So we're trying to do the classes from home. So she offers these things, but there is a lot of things on the internet that are free. The good thing about home-based business, yes, it depends on what you're starting. This is important. Plus, you have to look at the market again and what's needed. So for instance, there is some people here that are baking. Baking because especially this is one example. We are now having people that grow fruits and vegetables in their gardens. They are trying to sell to neighbors and distribute, but they're doing this all online. So they accept the order, they fill the order, they put it in a sack, they staple the sack with the person's name, and they deliver it to the door. They tell on the internet, okay, your amount is this amount to pay me. They either give it to them in an envelope or they do it with a credit card. So they're trying to do this. In the stores, what they're doing is drive up. So you drive up, you call on the phone when you're outside, they bring the order to it. But and everybody has masks and everything on, and they're putting it in the back of like the car or whatever they're in. So also we have a friend of ours that he grows chickens and or he raises chickens and cattle. And this is very raised very healthy with grass-fed, maybe what you eat in Pakistan, healthier food. And we only eat this kind because there's no chemicals or hormones or any of this. And he now is taking the orders over the internet. He will deliver to the house, these kinds of things. So people, you know, people right now are not buying very much clothes and things like this. They're using what they have. So they're worried about basic essentials. So if you make essential oils or you make different things that people really need right now that are integral, and maybe they're afraid to go to the store and you can deliver it. This is one way to make money. So, okay. So I think the planning's very important. You have to also think about customer service so that you really let your customers know you appreciate them and that they're almost part of the family. I think we're getting the PowerPoints back up. So,
just a minute.
okay, no problem. Thank you for your help, Rabia. Thank you. Thank you. So one thing I'd encourage, somebody was asking about a women-based organization. I think these are very handy. I think these are very helpful because we need encouragement. We need to get ideas from other people lots of times. What we know about women entrepreneurs is they're very giving, they're very sharing. And so all over the globe, the organizations that help support women are very important. And so I think this is a really good way to just keep up your morale as well as get ideas. And also they do things like oftentimes women organizations, and maybe Shahida's done some of this where they have a show. And someone asked me, what are you doing here at UNC? Okay, so we have a conference coming up in the fall called She Can, We Can Be an Entrepreneur Everywhere. She can, we can be an entrepreneur everywhere. So it's open to everybody, that's the we, but it's focusing on having women entrepreneur speakers. And we're taking a big auditorium and dividing it into three pieces. The first piece is the women entrepreneurs can have a table and they can sell some of their wares at the table. And this is for faculty, staff, students, alumni, but then we open it up also to outside businesses. This time we're focusing on women-owned businesses. They can be family businesses. Most of the time around the world, a women-owned business is lots of times a family-owned business. But the woman's taking the lead. Okay, it makes sense for everybody? Because you can't usually separate the family from your business. I never did either. So they're having 1/3 of the auditorium is these displays, and we're opening it up. People can sell things. Very little fee, very, very minor, just to cover some of our basic costs. In the middle, we're having a stage and we're recording testimonials of how women became successful, what are some of the main things they did. And most of the time, you know, is the ability to figure out where resources is. So we have 82 people online, 68 participants. I'm very happy you're all here because I think you're figuring out how to reach out, how to make a difference. It's getting this knowledge and knowing you can reach out and get help. That's the main thing. And then where to go to that help.
Dianne, can
And
you see the
so
PowerPoints now?
I can see it. I
Oh,
can
that's
see it.
fine.
Thank
Okay,
you.
okay.
Okay, so one of the things we talked about is planning. The next thing is how do you market your business? You know, and this is where this slides are where people need the most help that are women entrepreneurs. They need it in marketing. Next slide. So you can see, depending on the country, they need help on purchasing, understanding purchasing. Not most women are pretty good at purchasing. You can see this, they don't need as much help. The numbers are low, okay? Even all over the world, they're low. So we can handle purchasing pretty well. We don't need so much help on that. Next one. General management. Most women are pretty good at management. We have to do it all the time between our home, our family, our business. We're managing stuff all the time. This one, we don't think we need so much help with. Next one. Interpersonal skills, we're very good at this. So this is not something, you know, maybe in some of the countries, they feel they need more help with this, especially if they've been inbound more. Jordan, some of the countries feel that they need more help with interpersonal skills. But most of the time, in a lot of the countries, it's low. Okay, next. Because most women do pretty well with this. This is the big thing, is the finance. Is we need help with finances. How do you figure out some basic balance sheet? How much do I charge for my product that I'm going to sell? What's the average markup of my product I'm going to sell? You know, some products have a very high markup, other ones don't. If we're in the food business, for instance, the markup is not as high as it is for maybe something we use not as much, you know, like makeup, for instance, or, you know, so we have to know where to get this information. Shahid can help with that. It's also, there's a lot of information on the internet. How much should the markup be? If we mark it up too high, nobody will buy. And you know, a lot of this is seeing what else other people are charging, but they may not have a really good idea about this, but we have to figure out what our costs are to begin with. And you have to think about other costs, like sometimes electricity, you know, if you're sewing, how much your equipment costs, not just the thread and the material, things like that. And your time, what do you charge for the time? What we know is women usually undercharge for things, not overcharge. This is our view. Most of the time women undercharge. So it's very important to make sure you're charging correctly. You have to charge for your time. So we need a lot of help with finance. Next slide. And we're not trained in this usually. We need help with technology and computers, right? A lot of times we just, you know, this is always moving fast. We need more information, how to use this, and practical tools. I'm sure Shahid is helping you with all this too. Next. If we're selling our products outside the country, we need some help with the language. Most of the time when people get started, because this is having the entrepreneurial mindset, we usually start local, then we go regional with our products, and then we go abroad or to the whole country and then maybe abroad. But we start local unless you're producing something that is very hard to get outside your country or in another region. Sometimes, and I don't know about this in Pakistan, Shahid, maybe you can help me, but there may be something produced in one part of the country that is not produced in another part of the country. And so then that we understand the market. This is what I'm talking.
Yes, exactly.
So yes. So the language, it comes into play here. Next slide. So this is one of the products I told you from the ladies in Sudan. They make beautiful handiwork, and they make the veils and the dresses, just gorgeous. And they made a lot of this in the co-op, and they taught each other. So I have a lot of slides from this, but I just wanted, maybe also in Pakistan, you do some beautiful needlework, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Things like this. So, you know, you have to figure out with the last slide, how long does this take to make? You have to keep track of the time. Very practical.
Exactly.
Keep a piece of paper. And every time you get up, you have to subtract that to take care of the kids or make dinner or whatever you're doing. So how much time do you actually have in that product? And then you've got to figure out living wage for that time and what to charge.
So I have a few questions from our participants. So
Thank you.
we have Aisha Khalid with us, and we have one more. Aisha, would you like to ask a question? You can ask directly. You can unmute yourself. We have Yasmin Ghaz Saiba. Wow, Yasmin Saiba, you have to, I will connect you as well. Aisha, you want to ask a question? Our question is that I think it
Yes,
was
Assalamualaikum,
she.
sir.
Walaikum salam. जी कौन बोल रहे हैं? Who is talking?
Hello, Assalamualaikum, sir.
वालेकुम सलाम. कौन बोल रहे
This
हैं?
is मैं आयशा खालिद बात कर रही हूँ.
जी. So can you talk in English?
Yes, yes, sure, sure. So my question was regarding, I make arts and paintings. I have done some sculptures as well, and I paint also. In Pakistan, there is not a huge demand of art because of maybe the low purchasing power of people. I was hoping how to sell my paintings, how to approach people if they don't have money, they don't have, you know, usually people buy their own necessities. They don't want to buy extra things for themselves. How
Right.
can I open up a business related to arts?
Okay.
Well, that's a great question. And I understand. I've worked a lot with artists, and in your situation in Pakistan, I think it's even more challenging than here, because when the economy, my very close girlfriend is an artist. She lives next door to me. And she does photography, she does jewelry, she does a little bit of painting. But when the economy is down, people are not buying art because they're just worried about buying the essentials that they have to live on, you know, food
sure,
and
yes.
these things. So what she did is two things, is try to identify a market that is got a lot of need. And so saying that, there's you have to look at the market and what the wants are, okay? What people are buying, not just what you like to do. This is very difficult for artists. You have to be an entrepreneur to be an artist. So let me give you an example. So she makes, I would call it crafts also. So she makes these little wooden, how do I explain it? Butterflies, unicorns, to hang the earrings on for little girls. You wear earrings in your country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so even the little girls, they have earrings, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old. So she makes these, she paints them different colors, and it's a very simple product. It's a wood butterfly with a screen material They hang it on there and it's cute, and she can make her name on it. So it'll say my name, Diane, or something. And she sells these, especially during the holidays when people are giving gifts. And they're reasonable, and she makes a good profit on them. Like she makes like triple what her costs are. So, you know, maybe it costs her $5 and she sells it for $15, but it's reasonable enough people can afford it. And they give the gifts to the children. So she takes this product that she says is sort of boring because she remakes it and puts her name on it. She has this on the internet, and she gets orders from everywhere, all around the world, actually, even, but mostly in the US. And she ships the product. She packs it and ships it to them, but they order it on the internet, and they pay for it on the internet. And then she uses the money for that to do some of her other art. So it's very practical.
Okay. We have a few more questions. We have Rabia Saiba and then Asam Hussain Saab. So Rabia Saiba, can you quickly tell your question?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Dianne. Very nice to see your this direct talk. The question I have is, what one should do if one have ideas, but there's no product. Suppose mostly what happens with visual artists, they are bombarded with ideas just like writers, and it is not possible for them to make everything. So is there any way where we can sell ideas also?
Selling of ideas.
Ideas can't be sold. At least what we say in the US, because the second you try to sell an idea, you have to figure out if it's really an opportunity. And people have a lot of good ideas. You can't get any money for the idea. What you have to do is take your idea and figure out if there's a market for what your idea is. And artists, like you said, are very creative, and they have a lot of ideas all the time. So you have to take it the next steps and see if that is actually a market to go with that idea. But selling ideas, people won't pay you for ideas.
We have one more question from Madiha, then Asam Hussain. Madiha Latif says that how can a woman earn trust of her network partners? How can she earn trust of your husband, maybe your partners, etc.?
I see. I think that you mean if they're afraid of you doing something.
Is it this? Madiha, would you like to explain? Is the same question? Madiha Latif Saiba. Okay. I think this is what she meant. How a woman can earn trust of her network partners.
Yes, I think that women, they have a different situation usually, in that there's a cultural bias against women. We know about this in all parts of the world, and it changes depending on it. But I think that once you have to grab hold of your inner strength, and you have to say, I can do this. And when you start showing some success, then success builds on success.
Okay,
so start small, and then build on that, one step at a time, almost like a baby when they're walking. So the more you do something and it's successful, you may have everybody saying this isn't going to work, you can't do it, you don't know what you're doing, these things. You have to ignore all of it. My whole life, I've had to ignore this. I never listen to anyone except I believe in myself. But I listen to everyone that is trying to help me. And women, and so go where you get your strength. Women believe in other women. Shahid Center is where you should be going to get your strength. I am more than happy to do another webinar with you.
Oh, great.
Anything I can do to help you, Shahid, I
Sir,
am
I
always
would
here.
like to ask one question.
हाँ जी, तो यास्मीन साहब एक सवाल रह गया, वो नाराज हो जाएंगे, मैं आपके पास आ रहा हूँ अभी। आसिम हुसैन साहब से अभी आ रहा हूँ आपके पास। आसिम हुसैन साहब लाहौर से, from Lahore. Asim साहब, please join in for the question, and then we'll be moving to Yasmin Saiba. Asim? So I think he's not there. So I would like to quickly introduce you to our super woman entrepreneur.
Sorry.
Asim Saab, okay, Asim Saab, yeah. Ji.
Hi, Dianne. Thank you for getting up at 7 a.m. By the way, I did my MBA from Fuqua back in 1998. So I've lived in North Carolina for 2 years. So I was at Fuqua from 96 to 98.
Oh, great.
So presently, I'm with the Finance Ministry for the Financial Inclusion Project. I'm the project director for that project. So my question is, like, I'd asked you earlier about the impact of COVID on startups. Of course, I think a lot of online businesses and e-commerce will pick up after COVID because it will be easier for entrepreneurs to work from home and do things online. Do you have like examples of some women-owned startups at UNC, which were incubated at UNC and have been successful or are growing or picking up?
Since COVID or just in general?
Even before COVID, like over the past couple of years, startups which have been incubated.
Well, one thing that we've been working with is and this is it's a medical device a woman created with I probably shouldn't say it online, but it's a medical issue that a lot of times when you get older, you have the problem. And she created this device from years of working in nursing homes and the healthcare industry. And she came to me and she said, okay, I've got this great idea. And we were talking and she was very knowledgeable. I said, okay, you've got to get that protected like with a patent. So we worked with her on that. Now our class of undergrad students is doing a feasibility analysis, idea to opportunity. Then we're taking it to the business plan, opportunity to action. And she's doing these steps and we're helping her with the marketing. So this is one example. Another example is with the artists. And we have a conference called Arts Entrepreneurship. And we had one, he's a sculptor. He now employs 8 people. And he does metal art, gateways, doorways. He builds fancy fences. People like decorations, but he also does it for like the entrance to the airport. And he sells it to cities, like, on trails and when they're trying to beautify things. We helped him create this business. And he was a professor here, but he didn't have a high degree. And they let him go. And they had cutbacks, and then he started this business. It started with a family business with his wife, and she would do the bookwork and do these things, and he would go out and try to sell. Okay, I can make you a gate. So he didn't have this grand vision. Oh, I've only can do work for big projects. He says no, all the work, and he started out this way. What we're seeing now is a lot of online businesses. I think this will continue. I think for women entrepreneurs, this sometimes is the best way because we can do the product, we can make it in our home, we can ship it. There's online ways to take the money. You have to be careful about that with the security. But, or they send you the money and then you ship it. There's some ways.
Thanks a lot, Diana. We go to the last participant, Yasmin Rayas. She's a grandma entrepreneur. And she is She was part of our Women and Mother Entrepreneurship Program, and she started from her kitchen. And now she has a very big mineral water company called B. Harry's Mineral Water. So over to Yasmin Saba. Yasmin Saba, can you please introduce her? Introduce yourself a bit. We have like 60 people from all over the world. So she's our hero. Asam Saab, this is our Roxanne Quimby of Pakistan. Ji, over to Yasmin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the very good introduction of mine. I am from Karachi, Pakistan, and I have started a mineral water business in 2005. And Alhamdulillah, we are now in a plant, reverse osmosis plant erection business. And we are installing the reverse osmosis plant wherever there's a necessity of fresh water. I would like to ask a few questions because I am trying to see further ahead after COVID-19 situation. Because what actually I am thinking that this may become a very big opportunity for the entrepreneurs, whether women or men entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs. Because what I would definitely like to have your comment on that the purchasing as the I mean the corporate market is going on decline, so the purchasing power of people will definitely come down, and that would be the great opportunity. That may be the great opportunity for the small entrepreneurs because their administrative expenses are very low. So their price can be much lower and affordable for those whom buying power have become lower now.
Great.
I would like to have your comment on that.
You're
Yes.
absolutely 100% correct. Absolutely 100% correct. And the advantage entrepreneurs always have is their ingenuity, their creativity, and their overhead, because our overhead is so much lower, right? And absolutely what you're saying about markets like in Pakistan, the big, the carpet manufacturing is huge, obviously, but people's buying power, everybody, this has all gone down all over the world. So it creates a huge opportunity. And what you're doing in mineral water is, this is a very good idea. And the thing is, people are very concerned about their health. They're very concerned.
One thing more I would like to ask that I think there is more need of standardization education to the young emerging entrepreneurs, that how to standardize their products on the best practice. Otherwise, there would be again a new problem starting.
Like certain quality standards? You mean like for the government to do quality standards and these things? I think
Yes,
this is very important. And absolutely, I think there's got to be standardization, and there's got to be oversight in terms of the financial systems and even doing the credit card transactions, these things. But yes, the standardization by the government, this is very important to be able to compete not only locally, but nationwide as well as worldwide, because you've got to keep, there's got to be a standard. So when people are buying something, they know, yes, it is up to standards. Everything around health, I believe, around the world, is what is going to be a huge concern for people, because there's less fresh water, there's less, you have to worry about how the meat is raised, all these things, the vegetables. So I think anything around health is very, very, this is something that's not going to go away, but the standards are very important for that. Absolutely.
So just one last question, and I remember Diana was supposed to visit Pakistan, but we couldn't get through. And let's hope that if time comes, then she comes and stay with us for a few days, 4, 5, 6 days with her husband, and experience our hospitality. Diana, our
Oh, I would,
hospitality is different, is unique. And
I would love to do that, Shahid. And actually, I was telling my husband that this morning. I said, yes, I really want to come to Pakistan. The people are very warm that I've met, and I think it's a beautiful country. So
thanks a lot. And I think we will be contacting you again, I think, because the level of interest and the questions are amazing, and the people are dynamic, and they're trying to, you see, we have a lot of diversity in this audience, from grandmothers to young mothers to men and women. My friend Asim, who is working in the government, and he's been doing very strategic things previously as well. And so we wish you the best of luck and the best of your very pleasant life. And we're thankful to you, Diana, that it is a great learning opportunity. Helping others, helping other people to learn, to grow. It's a great, what we call it from the religious point of view, it's a great task. And God is pleased with that. So may God bless you.
absolutely. And anytime I can help you, Shahid, you're doing unbelievable things there. And I'm very honored to have you invite me, and very happy to meet all of you. Everybody stay safe. God bless you. And we will pray for the world to be safer and everybody well.